Hey girls and boys, it is Mr. McAndrew, the math coach. Great to see you. It's been a little while and I am happy to be with you doing some math. So word on the street is you're working on addition these days, which is very exciting because we're not just doing like 8 plus 8, we're doing like, I don't know, like 823 plus 156. I mean, we're talking about some serious addition, which is very exciting. All right, so let's have some fun and play with addition this week. I might do some things that you're like, Mr. McAndrew, like I already know that. And I might do some things this week that you're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So hang in there. If it's a review, that's great. And if you're learning something new, that's even better because your brain's going to grow even more. Okay. So let's get started. Without further ado, let's get this party started. So we're going to start off with some mental math, right? Mental math, which just means, like, could you do it in your head without using a paper and pencil? Now, I'm not saying it's better that way, okay? I'm just saying that sometimes it might be a faster way and it might be a way that you can do it. For now, I think it's important that you do paper and pencil to show your work and make sure that you understand it. But let's talk about some mental math because, there's going to be times, boys and girls, when I don't know why I made myself smaller because I'm still talking, when you may not have a marker and a whiteboard or a paper and pencil. And so maybe you have to add something up and you're at the store and you have to do it in your head. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Okay. So what if I have a problem like this? What if I have 300, I'm going to move my big fat head out of the way. Here we go. What if I had like 342 plus 126? All right, and you're like, well, I don't have a paper and pencil and line it up and do the drawings and blah, blah, blah. So here's, actually, before I even say anything, look at these numbers. Is there a way that you could solve this in your head without even writing anything down? So just take a minute and think about how you might do that. Okay, I'm just going to wait while you guys think. Awkward video silence. I know, it happens. It's a thing. It's a thing. All right, so what are you thinking? Any ideas here? Now, I can't actually call on you because it's a video of me talking to myself, basically, but I can anticipate a few ways that you might be thinking about it, and maybe I can even show you a way that you might think about it that you haven't thought of. So, all right, let's check it out. So one way you might think of it is, and I tend to, like with mental math, I just realized one of my buttons isn't buttons. I tend to start with the bigger place value. So I'm going to start with like the 3, which I know is 300, and the 1, which I know is 100. So 300 and 100, I know is 400. And I can hold that in my head. So this isn't how I actually solved it because I didn't use paper and pencil, but I'm trying to show you what went on inside my head when I solved it, which is why I'm doing it like this, okay? Or maybe this is what went on inside your head. And then I could go, okay, so I know this is 40, and this 2 is 20, so that would make 60, okay? And now we're working our 1's place, so that's just a 2, and this is just a 6. Oh, I didn't mean to write that down, sorry. That's just a 2, and that's just a 6, so 2 and 6 makes 8. So if I look at this, I'm like, oh, that should equal 468. Okay, so in my head, I was just looking at the hundreds, the tens, and then the ones. All right, so that's one way you could think of it. Another way you could think of it is like in terms of hops. So you might think of like a number line. Okay, so it might look like a number line like this. Now, with a number line like this, you can do whatever you want. So I want to make this 0. I'm going to put 342 right there. It's not like proportional, but it's just showing a way that you might have thought about it. So you might have in your head said, I'm going to start at 342. I'm going to jump 100. So I'm going to jump 100 because there's 100 and 126, right? So if I jumped 100, I'd end up at 442. All right, so I took care of the, here, I'll write it down here again. 342 plus 126. So I start here. I jumped 100, right? So I did that. Now I'm going to jump 20 because that 2 is 20. Okay, so I can do that. If I hop 20 in my head, I can do that actually because I'm looking at the tens place. So that's just 462. I'm getting closer. I did that. And now I'm going to add the 6. All right, so 462 plus 6. I can do that in my head. I'm adding to the ones place. That's just 468. And look at that. I got the same thing both ways. Okay? So 2 different ways of thinking about it, right? One way, I was up here putting the numbers together by place value, starting with the biggest place value. And then down here, I was starting at one number and hopping up in chunks of the other. Still using place value though, right? Like I went up 100 and then 20 and then 6. So something to think about, okay? All right. So let's get to the next part of our lesson. Very exciting. All right, so boys and girls, I'm going to show you another way to do this. You may have done it already in class with your teachers, but it's a good review. I may show it a little bit differently than they do, but that's all right. It's good to have different ways of solving. And after I show you a couple, I'm going to ask you to try a couple with me, okay? All right, so for now, just, put on your seatbelt and let's go for a ride. We have 453 plus 241. That was a joke about the seatbelt. I don't even know why I said that. So I'm going to use numbers this time. I'm going to break it out into what's called expanded form or notation. Okay, so I'm going to say I've got 453. And this is a little bit like we just did with the mental math, right? And then I'm going to add 200. I'm adding here. Oh, sorry. Got a little carried away there. 241. I don't know why I put a 30 there. Okay, that should be just a 3. Sometimes I can't talk and write at the same time, Okay, so we've broken it out by, this is called expanded form. 453, 241. Now, right, it doesn't really matter where I start. I could start with the ones or the hundreds or even the tens. I'm going to start with the hundreds right now. I'm going to get 400 plus 200 is 600. 50 plus 40 is 90. That's not so hard, right? So the reason we do this, boys and girls, is not to torture you. It's because we want you to understand why it works. But also, like, sometimes it's hard to do a problem just mentally. And by breaking it apart, it makes it much easier. We can solve it in easier steps. So here's one step, that's easy. Another step, that's pretty easy. And this is the easiest step. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay? So I have 600 plus 90 plus 4. Now that I can do in my head easy enough. 694. And that is my answer. Okay? Equals 694. All right. So I want you right now, when I tell you to, I want you to get... you have this in your packet, this place value chart. Okay, if you don't have it, then you have a marker and an eraser and a whiteboard, and you can draw it. And I want you to try a problem when you come back. So pause the video. That means stop it, get your materials, and then come back. And I'll see you in a second. All right, so boys and girls, I want you to try this problem on this with put it in your dry erase sleeve. Okay, and you got your marker. And you should have an eraser. All right, and when you're ready to go, please try solving this. And when you're done, you can check it with me. But I do want you to try it first. Otherwise, you're going to have some independent practice and it might be difficult. So I'd rather you do it with me first. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And when you're done, come on back. All right, so you may have done it like this. This is what I would do. 346 plus 413. So that 1 right there is a 10. Okay. Now we've broken it apart by place value. And now this is much easier. I can do that. 700, that's 50. right? I'm adding here. And 6 plus 3 is 9. So that would equal 759. Okay? Raise your hand if you got that. All right, good job. If you didn't get it, here's how it should look. Okay? And as long as you are paying attention, doing your best, and learning from your mistakes, your brain's actually growing like big time. So congratulations. All right, let me show you another one. All right, so this problem is going to be a little bit more challenging, and I'll show you why. It's not because of the 7 here. I'll show you why. So you have 700, okay, 28. You can just watch me right now. You don't have to solve this. Plus 238. Okay. So, all right, so far we've got 700s plus 200s, that gives us 900s. 2 10s and 3 10s, that gives us 5 10s, or 50. Now here, you can see 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, so in a couple days, we'll be looking at this in terms of regrouping. But for now, I really think we can just do this in our heads, because 900 plus 50 is 950, okay? And then we just have to add 16, right? So if you look at this, 50 plus 16, 50 plus 10 is 60, plus 6 more is 66. So we have 966, all right? If that's challenging, you could always break out the 16 into, you could make it into 10 plus 6. So we have 950, 966. All right, that's one way you could think about it, okay? So I'm going to give you one to try right now, and then I'm going to show you what your independent practice looks like, okay? All right, boys and girls, so try this one out. Okay, that means you are doing it. You're not just sitting there watching me, because that can get boring. And your brain is not going to grow nearly as much if you're just watching somebody else do it, to be honest. All right, so try this out the way I just did it and see what you get. And I'll be back in a minute. All right, so did you get this part? This part's kind of the easy part, right? So now we're going to add these up. So if I start... I'm going to start in the ones place today, because why not, right? I'm like living dangerously here. So 9 plus 3 is 12. You can do that. 30 plus 40, that's 3 10s, 4 10s, that's 7 10s, or 70. I've got 200s, another 100, that's 300s. Okay? So if I add these bad boys up, I've got 300 plus 70 plus 12. So 370. Plus another 12 would give me 382. Okay, so I was thinking of that as 300 plus 70 plus 10, right? Because 12 has got a 10 in it. Plus 10 gives me 380. Plus 2 more gives me 382. Okay? All right. So for the rest of your math today, I've got some independent work for you to do. I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so in your math packet, there is, it says Addition Practice Monday. It says watch Mr. McAndrew's video and use expanded form to solve. So you're going to do the exact same thing that we've been doing, okay? I think on this page, none of them, all the ones stay single digits. And then on this page, there is a second page. The ones, oh, that's kind of weird how they're going off that. Anyways, the ones go to double digits. So that would be a little bit more challenging. But if you need to look back at the video, you can do that. All right. And yeah, practice your mental math too. Okay, that's a good thing to get good at. It's always good to check it with a paper and pencil if you can, or you know, as you get older, you'll be able to use a calculator. For now, we really want you to understand what you're doing and have flexibility with how you do it. Because sometimes you have a calculator, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a paper and pencil, sometimes you don't. Sometimes all you have is your brain, okay? And sometimes certain numbers lend themselves to different types of strategies depending on what they are. So, all right, all good stuff. Be good, be kind, be safe, and I'll see you very soon. All right, bye-bye.